is Russell Wilson. Harry, if I were to say Russell Wilson will be a starter for an NFL team week 1 of this coming season, is that fact or fiction?
Greeny, I'm going to go fact with this one, and I'm going to start at number 3 with the New England Patriots. If they decide to take a wide receiver there or move back in the draft and get more draft capital, you can bring in Russell Wilson to be a bridge gap, to be able to allow your young quarterback to be groomed. You look at Atlanta at number 8, they need a quarterback. You look at the Vikings at 11, you look at the Denver Broncos at 12, and also the Raiders at 13. All of those guys are going to need quarterbacks, especially the Vikings, if they don't re-sign Kirk Cousins. So if you want to draft a young quarterback at that area in the draft, you can use Russell Wilson as a bridge gap to be able to allow your young quarterback to sit for a year while he plays in 2024.
Yeah, Wilson is an interesting one, and he had some interesting things to say. I want to play this for you in case you didn't see it yesterday. Despite his future seemingly being all but over in Denver, he's still talking about winning Lombardi trophies and all sorts of other things. Give a listen.
I got more fire than ever, honestly, especially over the past 2 years of what I've gone through. Whether if it's in Denver or somewhere else, I hope it's in Denver. I committed there. I wanted to be there. I want to be there. For me, it's about winning. Over the next 5 years, I want to win 2. I want to feel the chill of that trophy again. I want to win more Super Bowls there. I love the city and everything else, but you also want to be a place that wants you too.
So the reaction to this was all over the place yesterday. Tim Hasselbeck, what's yours?
Look, my reaction, he's going to say the right things. It's not, Russell Wilson's first rodeo in terms of, saying the right thing. I mean, saying that he wants to be there. Look, his game has declined, okay? Now, is he still one of the best 32 quarterbacks on the planet? Probably so. Look, I just think that we're in a really unique situation with him in that he's made over $265 million playing football already. He's due nearly another $40 million no matter what, even if the Broncos cut him, which means we're talking about making roughly $300 million playing football. And the idea that he's going to go somewhere without the financial security and commitment from a team to say, look, we're not going to bench you as soon as things go poorly. And, we can't guarantee you the starting quarterback position. You're going to compete for it with Kenny Pickett, somebody that a team has drafted and has something invested in. I'm just not sure that he's going to sign up for that. Look, I might end up being wrong, but I don't know. Like most guys that have achieved what he's achieved, have made the type of money that he has made, they're not going to sign up for that because you can find yourself in a really embarrassing situation, much like the situation that he's in right now. He's kind of been humiliated in Denver. Why would you sign up to be humiliated in Pittsburgh? I just think that, he will have made at the end of this season, even if he never plays a snap, the 4th most money at anybody that's ever played the game of football. Why are you signing up for league minimum with no guarantees?
What do you think, Harry?
Well, he's going to get the money regardless. But I think for Russell Wilson, it's like Pookie in New Jack City when he needed that quick fix. The game of football is that quick fix. It's calling me, man. Scotty is calling me. It's calling Russell Wilson. When you love the game, man, it's hard to get away from it. And I think for Russ, I think the best situation, in my opinion, would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. What we seen from Russ last year, even though it wasn't outstanding, Russell Wilson passed for over 3,000 yards. He completed 66% of his passes, 26 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. For Pittsburgh, they need a guy that's not going to turn the football over, that can be able to make the plays when they present themselves. I thought Russell Wilson last year, even though it wasn't what we see from Mahomes or what we see from Lamar Jackson or these other dynamic quarterbacks, I thought he did a great job of holding the fort down for the Denver Broncos, especially dealing with all the madness he had to deal with Sean Payton and company.
Everything just felt wrong, right? I mean, there was nothing about, about that situation that has felt anything but awful, seemingly from the moment that he got there. What does the league, the people you talk to, what do they expect to happen?
Yeah, I think it's a big mystery, and for the reasons that these two guys outlined. I think, Tim's point is an excellent one, and Harry's pushback is, well, if he really loves football, then he would go play somewhere just to do it. And I guess that's the piece we don't know, right? Like how much does he want to just play? How much would he be willing to put himself in a situation like the one Tim outlined, like the one he finished the season in Denver, and take that risk. And that's the thing, without getting into his head, I don't think anybody can really speculate on that. In terms of the interest, there are enough teams that are looking for quarterbacks that I think there would be a spot for him if he wants one, whether that is in Pittsburgh, whether that is in New England, whether it's in Las Vegas, Atlanta, whatever. I mean, there are enough teams out there that are looking for it. The question will be whether it's a situation that he's willing to put himself into, or whether he's willing to wait into training camp, into the season, see if somebody else gets hurt, that kind of thing.
Tim, you look like you have a final thought. Quick, go ahead.
Well, I just think this, and be careful. Like, Russell Wilson can still love football and it just not be a good decision, for him and, how the whole year could end up turning out. I think that ends up being the case. Like, it doesn't mean like, hey, do you love football or not? Like, I'm sure he loves football. He's committed a lot of his life to it. But there also comes a period of time where you say, like, this makes no sense. Unless you are guaranteeing me in writing that I'm the starting quarterback and you're not benching me, I don't know that you do that without the financial security of it.
Yeah, that's the one side of the decision. The other is a lot of times guys will just have the mentality of, I'm not going out this way. Like, I'm not going out the way these last 2 years have gone. I believe in myself, and he talks like a guy who does believe in himself. We'll see as we continue in a moment. Adam Schefter reporting that the New York Giants will engage with free agent running back Saquon Barkley and explore a deal with him, but are unlikely to use the franchise tag on him. That would cost them $12.1 million. And he's not the only running back who finds himself in this situation. Josh Jacobs and Tony Pollard, both tagged last year, also both not expected to be tagged this year. When you add in Derrick Henry and Austin Eckler, who are both free agents, this should make this one of the deepest running back classes in the history of football free agency. And so let me start with my insider extraordinaire here, Dan Graziano. If the football fans look at this and say, does this suggest that Saquon Barkley has played his last game as a New York Giant? Is that an overreaction?
No, it's entirely possible, given the way it went last year and this. Look, part of Adams' report is that the Giants will engage with him on contract conversations. I would advise him to listen to them, because this year's running back market is going to make last year's running back market feel like NBA free agency. I mean, like, it is all the market factors that drive down prices for these guys are still present, and the market is now flooded with big name guys that we all just saw up on that screen. It's going to be tough. But yes, I think there's enough history with Saquon and the Giants right now, enough dissatisfaction on his end with how things went last year, that it's more likely than not that he goes somewhere else and finds the deal, or finds something close to the deal that he wants.
All right, so that would be the end of an era for the New York Giants. He is their fourth all-time leading rusher. He has been the face of their franchise for several seasons in a row right now. But there is another era of New York Giants football that could come to an end soon. Our Giants reporter Jordan Renan yesterday was talking about the possibility of this team being ready to move on from its quarterback, Daniel Jones.
You have Daniel Jones now, 3 years, 3 injuries, right? 2 pretty serious neck injuries, and then he tore his ACL this year. He's still rehabbing from that. So when you're looking at it from the Giants' perspective, are general manager Joe Schoen and coach Brian Daboll willing to risk their professional careers with a quarterback with that injury history? I've been told by multiple sources that the Giants, if the situation presents itself correctly, the Giants would be at least seriously willing to look at the quarterback position.
And that proves they're watching this show, because last week I did a green list, Tim Hasselbeck, in which I said the number one move that I believe should be made is the Giants should move up to number 3 and they should draft your guy, Drake May. And I called him your guy because you obviously have made no secret you think he's an outstanding prospect. And he reminds me, at least a little bit, of Josh Allen, whom once upon a time Brian Daboll turned into this, whatever he is now, one of the best quarterbacks in the entire world. He seems like a similar lump of clay for Brian Daboll to mold and reestablish himself as a great quarterback coach. This feels like a move that makes all the sense in the world to me. Tim Hasselbeck, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree, Greeny. And listen, I think part of your thought process on it was, based on kind of the report we just heard from Jordan, and like Daniel Jones hasn't been healthy. So whatever you think of him as a player, fine, but he's not available. It's a little bit like the Jimmy Garoppolo situation with Daniel Jones, where you say, look, if you keep getting injured, we got to make a move anyway. So there's that factor. And then you bring in the Brian Daboll factor, which is, look, the seat's going to be pretty hot. And so the best way to kind of save your job, keep your job if you're a head coach, is to have a young quarterback that's trending in the right direction as a player. So getting your hands on a really good prospect, which I certainly think Drake May is, and if he ends up being the guy that's available at 3 because people think otherwise in terms of the other 2 prospects, I think it just makes complete sense, and you've got to be ready to get all the way up there to make it happen.
Harry, I'll remind everyone that Daniel Jones was drafted at 6 several years ago, and that is where the Giants currently pick. Do you believe, Harry, the Giants should aggressively move up and make a move for a quarterback this offseason?
100%, Greeny. I would also say, let's just say that Saquon Barkley's not going to sign back with the New York Giants. If you're a Giants fan, who in the hell are you excited about to go see play offensively for the New York Giants in 2024? Nobody. So I think from that standpoint, the Giants need to move up and try to get a franchise guy to take over for Daniel Jones. And we all touched on it multiple weeks, right? It's the injury history. Daniel Jones just tore his ACL in November. If I'm Brian Daboll, if I'm Joe Shane, I'm not hitching my wagon to a guy who's been consistently hurt over the last 3 years and hoping that he can stay healthy in 2024 with my job possibly on the line. I'm not doing that. So I feel like the New York Giants should aggressively move up and try to get a quarterback, especially if there's one that they really, really like in this draft.
And Graziano, being from New Jersey, you will, of course, remember the history of this well. Once upon a time, the Giants had Kurt Warner, and they drafted Eli Manning, and Warner played pretty well, and they eventually replaced him with Manning. Warner parlayed that into another opportunity in Arizona and wound up leading that team to a Super Bowl. This doesn't have to mean the end of Daniel Jones' career. You could let him continue. You could let him start the beginning of next season, work the young quarterback in at a reasonable pace, and if Daniel Jones plays great, good for him. He'll find another place and he'll go on. But the Giants resetting the position feels like it makes sense.
Yeah, they got to pay Daniel Jones $34 million this year anyway, no matter what. So you might as well. I mean, the other comparison: Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes, right? Like if Daniel Jones stays healthy and plays well, you can get something good for him. If he doesn't, you can get out of the contract after this year with very little difficulty financially. So I think it makes a lot of sense. Jordan's report said if the situation presents itself, I think the Giants have to try and work the situation, whether that means trade up, whether it means take a guy you like at 6, whether it means trade back and take a guy you like. I think the Giants have to really think hard about quarterback in the first round of this year's draft.
Just for those who've not been following it yet, the general way most of the mock drafts go, 6 is too late to get one of the big 3 quarterbacks, and probably earlier than almost anyone is projecting any of the other quarterbacks to go. So they're in that sort of, I'm not going to say no man's land, but in between place. So we'll see what they're able to do. We'll have much more on this as we go.